is Azar here, or is Azar going to coming later?
I don't know. I just tried to reach her.
This is the time that we bring her up, right?
Yeah. Brian, we're still waiting for, we haven't got Elsie as yet. Well, we do have a quorum. Andre, see if you can get a hold of Azar. I've texted her and I've called her, but
Okay, I'll do.
Thank you.
Where's Cash?
Cash is here, right here. I got him. Okay, so and Elsie has come on, so we're only missing Azar. Okay, I'm calling the 45th annual meeting of the United Laguna Woods Mutual Board, Directors of California Nonprofit Mutual Benefit Corporation, to order on Tuesday, November 10th at 2020 at 9:32 a.m. And it's a virtual meeting. We have a quorum, and so we will go on to the Pledge of Allegiance. Jeff, could you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and could the camera please go on the flag?
I certainly will. If everybody would stand with me, please. Put your hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And justice for all.
Okay. The minutes need to be corrected. It says Thursday, November 10th. So can that Scribner note be corrected on the agenda, please? And can I have a motion to approve the agenda with that change?
I so move.
Thank you, Andre. And Cash.
And I second it.
Well, I got 3 seconds there. I appreciate it all. We'll take Cash's. I acknowledge that the television, this is on TV today, and we hope that everybody is watching it. And we will go now on to the chair's remarks. I want to thank everyone who took part in the voting for the new United Board Directors. There were over 2,800 residents who participated in the election. Today, we are celebrating a year of hard work under difficult circumstances. We've had a multitude of crises to deal with: COVID, insurance, and malware. Fortunately, we have a strong board and staff who are adapting to these circumstances and committed to work hard to keep the mutual safe, functioning, and the residents healthy. The lack of in-person group meetings has created a real problem in the ease and quality of communication and opens up possibilities for misunderstandings. And clumsy execution, it strains group cohesion, and we shall continue to try to work on these problems. And everyone feels isolated, but we hope to find a better way to dialogue with the residents. Also, please feel free to send you our concerns. We are here for you and because of you. We've not been able to do all that we may have wanted to finish this year, so we've created a list of challenges ahead. This leaves us with a clear direction for future agendas. In particular, we're hoping to get out of our current firefighting mode and move into a preventative mode. Everyone takes their position on the board seriously and is working to make Laguna Woods the best active retirement community. I hope all residents will join us by providing actionable suggestions as we move forward toward the new normal. Thank you, everyone. So we need to start the show, the board's accomplishments. Each director will be asked to speak to their slides, please. And can we have the slides up? Grant.
Yes, one moment.
While we're waiting for that to come up, I want to thank all of you on the board. You've been a great group to work with, and I hope that we have the next year is even better. Okay, so this is our year in review. Next slide, please. These are the officers, worthy officers for this year, and they've been a very hardworking group of people. And as well as we want to ensure our residents have a comfortable, well-maintained home, and we're working on financial stability, maintaining the manners and landscape, and providing a safe environment and minimizing costs. And the last one is the most important. Next slide, please. These are the other hardworking people who have been behind the scenes and have done a tremendous job on the committees and elsewhere. Thank you all. Next slide, please. This year, United Board has led on many projects across all three boards. We have put together, we were the first to put together the Village Management Service Agreement, which is 28 pages that gives VMS the exact expectations of the United Board. We drove the GRF bylaws review and update, and it will be voted on in the near future within 2 weeks. And we worked together with all three boards to figure out how we were going to handle the COVID, what rules and things we needed to put in place to have a safe community. Next slide, please. Brian, you're up.
Thank you. I just want to say that the finance report is representative of outstanding teamwork from the finance committee. And with that, we'll go to the next slide.
If I can just get in for one more second. Director Gilmore, it is kind of hard to hear you over the mic.
Okay. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. This is a list of our accomplishments, and there was a reevaluation of the property completed in this past year, and we moved assets to less expensive investment with a higher return. What that's saying is that, investment houses, they have overhead rates really, and we were able to reduce that overhead. We completed the vetting qualifications for lenders, completed that resolution, and defined and adopted check signing processes for reserve expenditures. And I just want to point out that recognize, I should say, Manny. He really outlined that process for us and showed us how to execute that. Met with GRF, third treasurers, to become compliant with 5510 purchases, process documentation, and determined insurance needed while exploring cost decreases. So we're looking for opportunities to reduce those costs. Next slide. And this is the good news. Our monthly assessments stay flat going into next year. I do just want to draw some attention to that asterisk so people don't get a sticker shock. but there is your monthly payment is equal to the basic assessment plus insurance plus your real estate taxes, which is a pass-through. So your monthly will not be this, but the portion that we have control over will remain flat. Thank you. Next slide. This is the fund balances, non-operating. And as you can see, there were some savings from this past year. And I use the word savings in that due to the COVID shutdown, we suspended operations. And the money that would have been spent on those operations to make repairs and other things was put into the funds and saved. And we still have to do the work, and that's on the agenda to be done next year. Next slide. So some key financial facts, and this goes back to what I was saying about the COVID. We have a surplus of $700,000 in the operating fund, which can be used for insurance premiums. And, this is just because we were able to reduce costs due to COVID. And again, on the reserve fund, we had unspent funds of about $3 million, which will be offset the need to increase the basic assessment into next year. Next slide. And this is a resale history. And as you can see, I think everyone is aware of the impact from COVID. But, the good news is that the prices remained within margins, if you will, statistical tolerance there. Flat. Sales are down, but you can also see that they're recovering. Thank you. And I think that concludes the financial report, right?
Correct. Okay, Cash, you're on next. Next.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the handyman program accomplishment of our board. Next slide, please, Grant. Well, we met as a small group of about 5 people, board members plus advisors and staff, and we came up with phase 1, which kind of takes all the small chores that are necessary, and instead of having a entrance fee as we had before, we decided to go with an outside company for phase 1 for $25 per hour. This company called Neighboring Inc. Brings college kids that have been well scrutinized and background checked to do small things such as flipping beds, moving furniture, doing your small chores in the house. Of course, they cannot do anything that requires special trained operators, which we brought about in phase 2, which was also placed in order right now. But because of COVID, it's been kind of little delayed, but it is available. That's called phase 2, where our chargeable services at cost with provided to our people, our residents, and our staff handles those. And we have established procedures to secure an itemized quote before chargeable work is done. Next slide, please. Maintenance and construction.
That's me.
Yeah,
That's
that's
me.
you. Yeah.
If you have anything more to say about handyman program, please say it, Cash. I mean,
Well,
you only had
program
one
has
slide.
been accepted by all of the village, and it is meant for all. So we are not just looking at united neighborhood, we are looking for the best for our whole community as a whole. Thank you. That's all for Sandyman.
Good morning, everyone. Maintenance and construction has the lion's share of most of the work in the community other than landscaping. So there's a number of slides that we have to address, even though we had a downtime period within the community because of COVID, and we were reassessing how we could get people into the manors and get work done. Even emergency work was continuing to be done, essential work, but some of the other activities were not. And then we finally, on August 1st, started working again. So there are a number of things as we go through this. There's a number of slides. It's like 14 slides. So we have done a lot of work this particular year. So I just want to start out and tell you what it is that we've done this year. So next slide, please, Grant. So the Pushmatic electrical panels replacement, there's a number of manors completed to date is 1,129, and there's still 1,631 manors left to complete. And that's changing out the Pushmatic panels to the GE or other type of panels, okay, that you see there on the right. 275 manors were scheduled for 2020 because this is being done on a yearly basis. Not everything's being done all at once. And even if this was not a pandemic year, okay, we are only doing so many panels per year, and this particular year was 275 were planned to be scheduled, of which 142 have been completed. However, due to the pandemic this year, since workmen have got to enter the manor in order to do some of this work, new panel installation is only being done on those manors where the resident has granted permission from workmen to enter their manor. And M&C has asked each of the individuals for which a Pushmatic panel needed to be replaced if they were going to allow people into their manors. Obviously, when the workmen go into the manors, they have PPE on and masks and what have you, okay, but some people are still worried. So we're not doing those manors this year until this pandemic ends, or the people that, the manors for which the people need the panels replaced, where they give that permission. So that's what happened this year on Pushmatic panels. Next slide, please. The Waste Line Remediation Program. The Waste Line Remediation Program involves the installation of seamless epoxy-based liner within the existing pipes in order to mitigate future interior leaks and roots intrusion, as well as to resolve and prevent future backup problems related to compromised pipes. If you look at the picture there on the bottom where it shows a bluish green type of thing, that's the epoxy lining that's on that pipe. That's the after. The before is the pipe prior to that, whereby there was corrosion products and root intrusion and what have you, okay? And those pipes all get reamed out, and then we apply that epoxy coating so that since these were cast iron pipes, these pipes have a tendency of corroding and failing since they've been installed for 50 years. 30-plus buildings have been completed in 2020. In order to complete this work inside the manor, workmen need to enter the manor again, like with the Pushmatic panels. However, due to the pandemic, this work will only be done in those manors where the resident grants permission for workmen to enter. And that, both this and the Pushmatic was direction of EMS was given from the committee, the M&C committee. So we're watching out for the people that are really hesitant about having workmen in their particular manors. Next slide, please. So the roofing program, this program is dedicated to replacing and maintaining United Mutual roofs as required on a 15-year basis. This program also addresses repairs to roofs where roofing leaks have occurred. A number of roofs have been worked on this year. Next slide, please. Oh, was that the next slide? Okay, so we'll start with that one. Shepherd's Crook fencing installation. To date, a total of 2,966 linear feet out of 21,000 linear feet of Shepherd's Crook fencing has been installed. That goes all around the perimeter of United, just United's perimeter. On March 10th of this year, the board approved a funding reduction of $125,000 for 2020. The remaining budget amount of $40,000 will be used to fabricate and install approximately 300 linear feet of fence in 2020. One of the areas currently targeted for 2020 is the equestrian trail on Moulton Parkway, which will be included in the work to be completed this year. The contractor is currently fabricating the Shepherd's Crook fencing that will be installed this year. They fabricate the Shepherd's Crooks off-site, weld it all up, and then they come back and then they install it. That's the way that works. Next slide, please. The exterior paint program and prior to paint program basically run in tandem. We do a prior to paint program whereby we get all of the wood and any of the specific walls and what have you, where there's any sort of deterioration, what have you, get that all spick and span ready to apply paint so that we're not applying paint to a corroded or just a area where there may have been termite infestation or just dry rot. So those two are work in tandem. The paint program in 2020, cul-de-sac 61 and 62 have been completed. In the prior to paint program for 2020, cul-de-sac 61, 62, 63, 64, and 65 have been completed. So as you see that the prior to paint program precedes the paint program. Work was stopped for a time in both programs due to the pandemic and has now restarted. We have also changed from this year. We changed from a 10-year paint cycle to a 15-year paint cycle in order to save money. But we also had gone through all of the protocols to make sure that that was going to actually save us money and not cost us money if we went to a 15-year cycle, whereby we'd have more rotten wood and what have you. And we also got a extension from the paint manufacturer to a 15-year warranty rather than a 10-year warranty. So we did our homework on this, and we feel that this is a cost savings to the community and will actually bear itself out in the end. Next slide, please. What happened to the slide on the seal coat and asphalt paving program? Anyway, so the issues that were currently being addressed with this particular, what we're doing this year and what we're going to be continuing to do is we're working on certain issues where there are a number of issues that directors have become involved with this year and will continue to address in the next year. Working with staff to address a path forward for a COVID delayed work. We've been doing that throughout the year, trying to make sure that we have all of this work that's been delayed, how that's going to be done in the future. At this particular point in time, we have no catch-up planned because the work can be done on an ongoing basis, except for emergencies, obviously. We're establishing additional standard operating procedures to be used in the work process. We're working with staff to address the reduction of moisture intrusion events in order to get ahead of this challenge. Aging pipes and roofs are problems that need to be addressed. Reviewing with staff the reasons for why certain jobs take more than once to fix. Job follow-up and improvement of checklists are parts of the solution. Next slide, please. Yeah. Somehow these slides got a little out of sorts. So the asphalt paving work, this program is dedicated to preserving the integrity of the street paving within the United. As part of this program, the asphalt paving is inspected and rated for wear annually. And the 2020 program consisted of 59,900 square feet of paving replacement, and that was already completed. Next slide, please. The Seal Code program, this program is funded to extend the life of the asphalt paving by sealing asphalt cracks and applying a bituminous slurry seal to the asphalt surface preventing water intrusion and protecting the asphalt from deterioration. That covering that you see there, okay, protects the asphalt paving such that any water intrusion that gets underneath the asphalt paving will then undermine the paving, causing the street to cave in. So to put that on there, it allows us to go further to keep these streets before we have to actually rip up the street and do it again. So this is money well spent to make sure that we don't have to repair our streets as often. And the 2020 program will consist of 14 cul-de-sacs. Next slide, please. This program was instituted to upgrade the building and cul-de-sac signage to improve their visibility. This year, the cul-de-sac signs were installed with ones that are larger, traffic rated with high reflectivity material to improve their visibility at night. And cul-de-sac signage installation is now completed. And I have not heard many people complain about this. In fact, many people really like the new signs. I know I personally like them because it definitely is a lot more informative. The same type of identity signage is being added to the buildings as part of the painting program. So as part of the painting program, when they complete the paint, they'll put one of these signs in that particular building. So it'll take a number of years to get those signs installed. So that's that. Next slide, please. Moisture intrusion events happen in Laguna Woods Village due to roof leaks and waste line piping leaks. There are a number of these events that occurred this year. In order to mitigate leaks from roofs, roof inspections are conducted on a periodic basis. However, a roof problem that causes a leak in most cases does not manifest itself until the roof actually starts to leak. It's just one of those things. You never know you're going to have a roof leak until it actually starts leaking. In many instances, it's not obvious, even though you do an inspection. So that's what happens with the roof leaks. In order to mitigate the leakage from drain line piping, which a lot of people experience, as was indicated by that kitchen that's ripped up on that picture, these pipes were installed 50 years ago and was indicated by that previous slide that showed what that pipe might look like. That might be the pipe that's inside your house. We are lining these pipes with a resin, as has been addressed in the previous slide, as I noted. For those lines that are not yet lined and may leak, we go through a process to repair the line and clean up the mess that is made by the leaking pipe. We're trying to mitigate many of these moisture intrusion events by providing this lining within the pipes, but this thing takes a while to do, meaning that you can't do all the particular units overnight. So as we do them, we feel that those particular lines will now no longer cause a leak to you, but there are still lines in everyone's manner that may cause a leak, and we're just going to have to work through that as time goes on. Next slide, please. So, challenges ahead. Well, we're working with staff to address the path forward for COVID, and I already said this before. That was already on the last slide. I don't know how this happened. These slides got out of order. Next slide, please. We're also working on follow-up work, orders that have been outstanding for more than 60 to 90 days. We have seen a reduction in these outstanding work orders. We try to go through a KPI process to determine whether or not key performance indexes to see whether or not we're actually achieving these goals of getting these orders done and done within the time frame. And as a result of that, some of them are a little bit out there because of various different reasons. In many instances, it's not VMS's fault. It's just something that occurred or something that happens, like the pandemic or what have you. But we're working through these to try to reduce the number of days that they're outstanding. We're also possible use of additional project management software as needed. We're looking into that. We have a software group right now that is looking into that. It's a committee that does that work. Requiring addition of random quality checks on all jobs, especially contracted work. That's something we're working with VMS on to make sure that quality control is obviously very important to us, only because of the fact that without quality control, then they're going to come back 3 and 4 times to fix a particular problem when we're trying to mitigate that and actually do away with that so that people will actually get the job done right the first time, just like Mike Holmes. And addressing the potential for renegotiating contracts to obtain better terms. And we're working with staff on that one also. Is there another slide here? Because they're all out of order now. Brent? Okay, finally, we're back to the way it was. Thank you very much for your time.
Manuel, will you go on, please?
Yes, thank you, Sue. Before I start my presentation, I would like to make a couple of remarks. First off, I want to thank Brian for acknowledging my work with him on the finance. And I also want to thank Sue, because when I became a director 3 years ago, I have been working on 2 very important things. One is having a separate bank account for reserve funds. And of course, the other one was compliance with 5510 A and B, which has been part of the Davis-Sterling law for over 12 years. And it never been done by any of the mutuals. And in June, we started approving reserve expenditures. And it's been a pleasure, and I want to thank Sue and Brian for allowing me to participate in that effort. I think we're accomplishing a lot through that. So thank you. I will now go on to landscaping. When I first became a director, I was very critical of landscaping. And one thing I must admit, it doesn't matter how hard you work on it or how good a department you have. It's an area that can easily be picked apart. And right now we're fortunate in having Kurt Wieman and his assistant Eve Morton, and also his top arborist, Bob Murgott, looking after our landscaping. It's not perfect, but they are working about as hard as they can. They're knowledgeable. And I feel proud of what we've been able to accomplish. Like I said, there will always be an area that needs additional attention. That's just the nature of landscaping. Next slide, please. We have a map on the website now that shows the date and the area for deep cleaning and mulching. And also, besides the map, it also shows where the tree trimming and slope maintenance is taking place. A year ago, one of the problems we had in landscaping was that we were understaffed. We had a shortage of about 40 workers. And here again, I have to give credit to Kurt for thinking of ways to solve that. And one of the ways he came up with is that we have 4 areas of work now that had been done in-house, that is still done in-house, but a good portion of it is also contracted out. One of them is tree trimming. So about a third of the trees that get trimmed every year are contracted out, and he's able to get it at a cost that's equal to or less than we do it in-house. He's also done that with the aeration of the lawn areas. That's where they poke the holes in there to provide oxygen to the roots of the grass. He also has done that with slope maintenance. And by doing this, he has now closed the gap where he's not shorthanded anymore. He's able to utilize all of his employees full-time, but yet does not suffer from a shortage where areas get neglected. Next slide, please. Besides the map of upcoming projects, we also have a portion of the website that tells you each week where the work is going to be done. And you can look on that anytime you want and to see when the work is coming up in your area. Kurt has also reorganized the landscaping department so that he has people, let's call it sub-department heads. And they are responsible for monitoring the work for the workers under them, also to provide training and to provide internal quality control for their work. He recognized when he took over the department last year that that was, there were two areas that were lacking. One, of course, was staff training, and the other one was getting the workers to take pride in their work, and that can only develop by providing adequate training. So he's come up with some standard operating procedures, and Andre would love this. I mean, he's got SOPs for everything. Next slide, please. Right now, we're in the process of doing a modernization project that was approved last year in 2019. And you will see, for instance, the majority is being done behind gate 5, but there's a small portion that's being done off of gate 1 at the corner of Avenida Sevilla and the Calle Aragon. It's a very steep slope area that already has ivy and other ground cover around it. So this will complete using a ground cover instead of grass. And the purpose of this is primarily to accomplish several things. One is to plant the area with drought-tolerant plants and minimize the use of water. The other is that these are areas that are difficult to maintain. This picture right here shows you at the last landscape committee meeting, there were 4 sites that were presented to the committee for the removal of grass and the implementation of drought-tolerant plants. We only approved 2 of those, and the others we deferred because they look like good lawn maintenance areas. I believe this is one of the ones we deferred, but the other ones definitely needed to be replaced with something better than turf. Next slide, please. Yeah, okay, you can see this is one of the areas that we're considering to replace with turf, but we deferred on this one because it's a nice grassy area. So we'll decide in the future whether we want to continue with that or not. Next slide, please. That completes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. You're on, Elsie.
I'm Elsie Addington, and I'm the proud chairperson of the Architectural Control and Standards Committee. It's sometimes kind of hard for me to get all those words together accurately, but we just call it the Architecture Committee, or the more relevant to most of the residents would be alterations. We're the Alterations Committee as well. And around July, we had some staffing issues like a lot of people did. And then, of course, there was the pandemic. And anyway, in July, BMS was lucky in obtaining the services of Robbie Doncaster, who's the new director of the Manor Alterations Desk, which is alterations and architectural standards. And Robbie hit the ground running as best as he could during the pandemic, and he's got 25 years experience behind him. He's a licensed architect, and he's just been great trying to work through the staffing issues and the pandemic issues and slow response time back to people's questions because of these issues. So, but we're all very optimistic at the direction we're going. And did you have any more slides for me? Okay, this is some of the stuff we did. Asbestos is an ongoing issue. If you know that we've got federal, state, county, and city regulations. In addition to that, we have our own concerns here within the village. So there's a lot of hoops to go through if you're trying to get a permit to do an alteration. And there's a whole cottage industry, more than a cottage industry. There's a whole industry built around asbestos abatement, and it's pretty pricey. It's pretty technical, and it's pretty necessary because approximately 29,000 people die in this country still annually from asbestos exposure. So we used to think it was a miracle thing that you dug out of the ground and you stuck it into the walls, and it was a good insulation. It was lightweight, fireproof, great stuff. But then around the 50s and 60s, they started discovering some of the health problems. And then by the 70s, 80s, and 90s, it was slowly processed out of construction products. But anyway, so there's a lot of questions, and we've had a lot of conversations and a lot of consultations with specialists, and we're trying to consolidate, trying to improve this some way we can cut down on the burden to residents with their asbestos inspections. We've been working on several inspection procedures where if we're in an area doing another kind of inspection, we can maybe also check for asbestos. And it's more difficult than it sounds. So trying to figure this out. But anyway, we've really worked on it. Staff's really worked hard. Ernesto's been great. Robbie was great. And the members of the committee had a lot of very vital questions, and were very persistent in getting as much information as we could. And this is a good, we didn't establish this procedure exactly, but it's a good time. I'm glad it's on this slide. You know, you have to get, the village is just, we're the ones that tell you whether or not you have to have, when you're trying to get an alteration, if you're going to have to test for asbestos, because we have to protect our employees. But also, even if we didn't do that, the city of Laguna Woods would make you get it. So either way, but once you only have to do the testing one time for any given location. But anyway, our village is not the only one asking for this procedure. It's also the city of Laguna Woods and the county of Orange and the state of California and the U.S. government. So, another thing we did was we defined what a modification is, which is basically it's the same, and that's another word for alteration. And it's always pretty much been the same definition, but people keep questioning it. What is an alteration and what is not an alteration? But we took another stab at defining it again. And we also, I already mentioned, we reviewed the asbestos removal procedure and developed communication for residents who are remodeling. We had something we were handing out about, informing people that when you first buy here, it discloses that there's asbestos present. But then when you go to get an alteration permit at the alterations desk, we would tell you again and say, if you do certain procedures, that's going to disturb the asbestos, then you almost for sure are going to have to get tests and blah, blah. Well, then somehow that got pulled, but we reviewed that and put it back in. Robbie, again, was instrumental in developing a one-page lead and asbestos presence information. And that's now going out with all the packages for people who are applying for alterations. So I think, is there another slide or not? Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, the challenge is ahead. Working with the city to make alterations smoother and less costly. I'm not pointing the finger, but exactly, but I want to share the finger with when these really long lags happen in plans approvals. A lot of it has to do with after you get we approve your project here, then you have to go to the city to, they have to inspect your plans, and that's not a very smooth process at this point. And we've tried things like, could they maybe work? Could we have city employees here? So on site, it could be a little quicker that way, but that didn't work. And we don't have the staff to keep staff at the city, and that probably wouldn't work for this. It has to do with insurance. that why they can't work here, we can't work there. Meanwhile, they're having to send out a lot of their work on the architecture plans and the building plans because of, financial considerations and staffing. So Jeff Parker and Siobhan and I know Carl and my colleague Carl that you just heard from, and now Robbie. Well, Robbie hasn't really hit it because of the pandemic, but he will be. But his predecessor, trying to work with the city to make alterations smoother and less costly. They're not trying to do a bad job. We're not trying to do a bad job, but some of these plans go back and forth and back and forth. And so we're trying to smooth that out. Some people want to make a common set of architectural drawings that have earned city and VMS approval and use those. Triaging the system, set up a triage system for requests. If somebody's got something that's much more urgent than somebody else's, then hopefully, we could figure that out and respond quicker to the ones who are, obviously, if it's an emergency, but we don't really handle that many emergencies unless there's been damage to an alteration portion of your manor. But anyway, triage system for requests, and we started, documenting renovation plans that have been used for each model. Again, that sounds easy. The idea is to get a standard that we can just look at and say, oh, you've got a Barcelona and you want to do this. And so it's, that's already been approved, not a problem. And that would be great as far as it goes. But we have so many different models, and even the models, a lot of the models are mirrored. So if you get one plan that says, okay, this has all been approved, but then it turns out in your manner, it's exactly the opposite. It's a mirror image of the plan, and so the location of your bathroom, for instance, is different than the one on the approved plan. It's pretty complicated too, but we're still working on it. So hopefully that'll be done and this next year. But we'll see, and we continue to work. I have a good team on the committee, and we have some wonderful advisors. And hopefully 2021 will be better than 2020. And that's all I got to say, I think. I don't think there's any more slides.
Hey, Nick. Oh, that's that. Andre, you're on.
Yes. Okay. May I have the next slide? Governing Documents Review Committee. We've done some major updates on our current governing document. The first thing is we simplify guide to operating rules. You used to have 380 some pages. Now it's we're trying to reduce it under 200 pages. And we have all the operating rules consolidated. There are a lot of duplicated operating rules, and some amendments turn out to document as resolutions. So we kind of consolidate them together and make it simplified, make it easier for reference. And we also have reviewed the occupancy agreement. That's very important because that's everybody signed, but nobody's reading it. So we review the occupancy agreement, make sure all board members participated. We'll know what are the issues. That's when we find out that if there's an excess budget, surplus budget for 1 year, we don't refund. We use it for the next year. That's clearly documented in the occupancy agreement. And we also changed the updated financial qualification amendments. This is an amendment. It's an amendment to the original resolution, which will allow your asset, split part of your asset if you have sufficient of them as your income. So that's one of the changes, make it easier for the outside people to buy our units. Hopefully that will increase our price here. And we speed up approval process for membership, trust, transfer, and sublease agreements. It used to be that the board member, they have to wait for board members to approve them. But now, since we realized that staff are doing a great job, but they don't have the percentage of error is under 1%, probably 0.01%. So it's not necessary to to keep the members wait for 2-3 days for that 1% of error. but we still establish a sampling process that the board member has the right to sample certain approval, the membership information, and then make sure that all this information will be processed correctly. And we identified exact committee designation. It used to be we have several exact committees which violates that their charter violates the civil code. So we now have only one, which is a member hearing committee. Okay, abide by the civil code. Next slide, please. And other resolutions passed specified species-based tree trimming policy. This is really a landscape policy, but you know, this helps out all the streamline the policy, making sure they are follow the same format and rules. And objective, we established objective standard for approval to loan within United Laguna Woods Mutual Appeal Policy. Previously, the loan approval policies has some redundant statement that make it difficult. Now we have relaxed them, and hopefully we will have more loaners that providing us the buyers the loan. Okay, and notice that we don't use the word mortgage because you don't have the deed, so you only can only apply for the loan. That's a big difference there, and that's why the loan rate is a little bit higher than the mortgage rate. We also updated member election voting policy according to Civil Code update. I'm sure everybody aware of that. Civil Code has changed about the election voting policy. So we abide by the Civil Code update. We also updated recognition agreement for lenders. That's also something related to the lenders. Not only qualified lenders can lend money. We don't want people individual people to be the lender because that cause some ownership problems. And separate checking account for reserve. We have those established. So from now on, we have the beginning balance and the ending balance rather than just transaction list, and we don't know what else is missing there. So right now, all the reserve fund has a separate checking account, and it has the beginning balance and ending balance, and making sure all the monies are accounted for. Next slide. I think next slide. Oh, the challenges ahead, of course. Continue to consolidate the documentation. We want to make sure all the next chair will be responsible for consolidating all the documents and making sure we simplify the resolutions. And the next one, simplify the operating rules. We establish a guideline, the operating rule guide, which will make it simple for residents to refer and search this kind of the information. So hopefully we will reduce the staff involvement so they can do more real work rather than responding to residents and requests. You can go online and find information yourself. You don't need to call them and find information. Of course, they are always available. I'm more than happy to help you out. We're preparing a code of conduct. That's what we are trying to do at this point, and there are some issues that we need to clean them up. And we remove the low-risk clause that impede buying, improving a manner, and selling to move, making sure that they are moving much faster. Okay, that's what we're looking ahead and trying to accomplish for the next governing document committee. Thank you very much. Next.
Elsie, could you quickly go through these slides, please?
Sure. Probably the most noticeable thing that came out of the communications, this is the GRF communications. Well, we have this United Communications Committee, I'm sorry, is directly meshed in with VMS, the GRF Communications Committee. That was sloppy. I apologize for that. But anyway, the biggest thing was the Village Breeze is now delivered. We had a couple issues with the post office, but I think we're straightening that out. And the Village Breeze is a new magazine that's funded completely by its main sponsor, which is Memorial Care Medical Group. And they basically pay for the whole magazine. We just pay for the staff that puts it together, and they do a great job. That's Eileen Pollan and her gang. And anyway, the Village Breeze takes the place of a lot of brochures and flyers that used to be around the village. And now every 2 months, a lot of that, most of that information is included in the Village Breeze. Is there another slide?
There's about 5 of them.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I remember. Is there another slide now? Sorry, because some of the slides are different. We developed an annual message, the year of kindness and compassion, and there were graphics developed to illustrate where your assessments are spent. And it says promoted in the Village Breeze magazine. That's this same graph was printed in, I think, last edition. But anyway, next please. Oh, I already talked about this. It's printed and distributed throughout the village, and it's written by the members of each board. And the main thing is it's paid for by somebody else, which is really great. Next. The weekly e-blast, those of you that haven't signed up yet, I mean, I think everybody's signed up. I forget, Eileen tells us once in a while, like how many people have not signed up for the internet. But if you're on the internet, and then if you've signed up for the weekly e-blast, you'll get all this information. It's at least once a week, but sometimes it's even more than once. All kinds of stuff comes over the internet. So if you're interested, if you're not signed up and you're not getting this, you should call Resident Services and they'll tell you how to get signed up. Next. CodeRed. Yeah, I did something on TV6 about this recently. CodeRed is extremely important. We have about 5,000 residents, but there's a lot of people that are not signed up for CodeRed. About 5,000 residents are. And I believe that's in United, and there's more in Third. But what it is CodeRed. If you sign up for CodeRed, it asks for just a few simple facts about you, like what your name is, what your manor number is, identification stuff, and whether you would like your emergency alerts to come by phone or to come by text or to come by email. And you can choose, I mean, if you have a regular phone, like I have a regular phone and I have a cell phone, but even if you have a regular phone and no cell phone, you can sign up for that. And it's very easy. It takes 5 minutes to fill out the application if you're doing it online. And if you're doing it online, you should go to the top, go to the Laguna Woods Village website and go to the upper left corner of the page, and you'll see it says CodeRed, and just click on that and it'll walk you right through it. And if you don't have a computer, you can just call Resident Services and tell them you want to obtain a paper copy, and you can fill that out and either send it in or deliver it or whatever. It's really important to get signed up with CodeRed. Every time we have an earthquake or when the fires were going on or whatever, if there's an emergency, CodeRed will tell you what the status is and warn you, even if it's in the middle of the night. Like, well, I shouldn't say the middle of the night, but our last earthquake was at an unfortunate time to be wakened, but it was really great to get the notification. So that's all connected with our communications. Next slide. Oh, yep. Every week, the different mutuals are represented by people that go on and give little interviews on TV6. And the board of directors meetings are televised live and always available for viewing on Laguna Woods website. It's just so great having our own TV channel because they have public service announcements. All that's communication, tells you about things. Directors talk about assessments, etc. So United Mutual directors are on village television about once a week. Next. Okay, that was my report. Thank you.
Anthony?
Thank you, Madam Chair. In compliance, I'm part of a committee. I had the committee called Members Hearings, Limited Member Hearings, United Member Hearings. And what that is, that's an opportunity for residents who have had problems with damage to co-op property, who have been delinquent in charges and assessments, and other security issues. And we have this meeting once a month, and thank God we have a great staff, because we can sometimes have up to 21 issues to deal with. And staff keeps it moving, and we have a staff of 4 committee members who listen to the residents. The residents given 5 minutes to tell us what their issues are and what they want done. And then the committee will decide what to do, and staff will send our recommendations to the resident. And for the future, we have to keep doing this, offering residents the opportunity to come up and plead their case when there are issues in terms with delinquency in payments, damage to co-op property, and any security issues with cars and other things. So that's the extent of my compliance report. We will go on doing the same thing and offering you, the residents, an opportunity to come up and talk about your issues with us in private. It's a closed session because it's dealing with personal issues. And that's where we are with that. Thank you very much.
Next slide, please. So some of the accomplishments we did was the first letter was saying we'll put a lien on your home and so forth. And we have a law-abiding residents in in this village. So we made the first letter a lot friendlier tone, because we want to let you know you've done something, but please take care of it now. We're trying to have membership termination hearings for anybody who has more than 5K, so we get these things cleaned up quickly and don't have an accounts receivable for a long time. This year we worked on intervening in residents lodging multiple complaints, and some things were left for 7 years. These people have been complaining about each other. We tried to work out some ways to do that, to get them to talk to each other and try to get the problem solved between them. We haven't had great success, but we've had some success. And lastly, we determined the cost of a compliance card. So we informed residents that when you call for compliance, just because you called, it costs us almost $270. And if we have to send a letter out, $336. So use this system wisely, not just because you don't like what your neighbor's doing. Next slide, please. Netta?
Okay, hi everyone, and you know about the resident service, as you know, I really appreciated that I have this opportunity to serve in resident advisory during this 1 year, but unfortunately because of the COVID, I had just 3 meetings before the COVID with people and all the members. They come to my committee and we talk about the problems and the issue that they have, and we try to solve the problem. But after that, unfortunately, we don't have any meeting, even virtual. But I decided to contact with people during the meeting that we have, and I just put my email on the website and do it in the meeting too. And then after that, people started to email me with their problem, and they call me. I just meet them or just contact with the email, and I try to contact their problem with different department of VMS. And it seems that the VMS trying to improve the resident service. Please, the next slide. They just do the feedback system that work requested have been received and scheduled with the work order number, reviewing monthly number of work orders and the time to completion for all area. Next, please. Next slide, please. Thank you. And it seems that they just trying to, when the resident calls, they just doing it, connecting it to the right department or giving them my email or my number till maybe I can help them. And, is the working to reduce the call because they put a lots of information on the website and trying to help the people that, if you call the resident service, they connect you with the whatever information in the website till you can use that. And even most of the emails that you can use is in the website too. And hopefully after this COVID, we can have back to the normal and having those meetings that the people can come and we discuss about the problem. Thank you.
Next slide, please. Okay. Next slide, please. So we have a number of challenges ahead, and we're trying to work through, we're preparing a strategic plan. We're working on operating procedures for directors, so continuity will be there for over the years. There was a retirement plan put in, and we're looking at having an escalation procedure in the employee's handbook and developing an ad hoc committee to review budgeting and establishing a career volunteer center if COVID ever ends. And we're developing an outsourcing. I believe, Andre, the next slide, please. Andre?
Yes, thanks for the opportunity to share with you the software research group. The mission is to find a cloud-based integrated HOA system to reduce development and support costs and to improve staff productivity and system security. We all know that we currently have an in-house system that we develop them ourselves, so we have to spend all the money that we need. But we'll subscribe a cloud-based integrated HOA system. We will share the development and the support costs with all other HOAs. That makes that will reduce our expense and improve staff productivity because they have more functionalities. A lot of HOA requesting that, and they follow the most often requested functions, so it will improve our productivity. And of course, they are a cloud-based system, so with it's unlikely that they will have a malware system. Usually those people are signed up with either McAfee or Norton. They hire the expert to update their system, making sure they will not be affected by the malware system. So that's the system security side. Make sure that we'll continue our service without interruption. And who should participate? The stakeholder committee includes the VMS staff and the Laguna Woods resident. VMS staff will take care of the daily activities and the transactions, and Laguna Woods Village residents will be able to test the system that whether they have the necessary information to perform their life activities like making payments, like query the accounting balance, all kinds of information that allow them to go online. Even though we are talking about this automated system, we will not leave those older generations that don't have a computer that are not computer savvy out. We will still have the phone systems, the same phone systems, the same email system that will be able to help them answer their questions. And besides the stakeholder committee, we will have the executive committee, which includes VMS executives and assigned board members that will help because the process is not different. There may be some organization changes, budget considerations. That will be their job to help delineate the staff's responsibility and make sure everything still works together based on our strategic planning direction. Next slide, please. What we accomplished so far, we established the current state as is state. Okay, what do we have right now? Each department, we identified each department and what are the functions they use, what are the systems they use. That we have established with the help of VMS staff. And we also identified, solicited feedback from vendors. We told them that this is what we want, these are the functions, these are the systems, do you have anything compatible? So they provide us a lot of feedback that we are comparing to each other and prepare proposal state. We are in the process of preparing them, making sure that every function that we currently use, the core functions primarily, are available for us. For example, the finance system, for example, the customer service system, we will have them, the work order system, we're definitely in the membership, tracking the tenants, tracking the vehicles, tracking the compliance issues. We will need those in the system. And we propose the implementation methodology. This system is a major implementation. Okay, it's not something that we just go plug it in and tell it to automatically set it up. And it's not like a QuickBook at all. Okay, so we have to do the setup, we have to plan it, we have to do the testing, we have to make sure everybody's satisfied. All the department, all the individual modules are implemented correctly, the crossing systems implemented correctly, and overall the testing will be done. Will take probably 3 or 4 iterations of tests to complete the implementation process. And we also prepared a template project plan. This project plan follows a standard project management methodology, and that gives, at this point, give us a pretty good concept idea that we will likely finish this project within 6 months if we can push it, and if we have enough stakeholder resource. But it may extend to 9 months, and if we just don't have staff, available staff to support us, it may take 12 months. Depends on how much resources we'll get. Next slide, please. And what is next? Well, we have completed a proposed state, which is a to-be state. We will complete this one. We have the as-is, what we do right now. We have all the alternatives from the systems. They have some of them have the great capabilities that we've never seen before. And some of them have a better process, some of them have less process. So we are trying to say, okay, which system give us the best bang for the buck and then provide us the best one that we will serve our residents better, serve you better. And we also complete the proposal, and we will complete the proposal and the recommendation with a return on investment proposed and shared with all the residents, and accept your critique and propose it to the board, all board, and it gets their approval. We will prepare tentative implementation plan. That's assumed that which is really called the base implementation plan, that we will have the timeline and when will system get implemented, who's doing what, when to test whatever system. And we will seek input and approval from all boards. That's the final step. Once it's approved, then we will start talking about budgeting and when to implement the system. Because the current malware situation, we were struck by that. We hope that we will be able to move our system to cloud as soon as we can, so we won't be affected. Okay. There's so many malwares out there, we don't know what's happening, but going on the cloud, we will have the expert to protect us. Thank you very much for my presentation. Next, I think that's it.
And I want to thank all of the board members and all of the residents that for this year, we have tried to do what we can do, and I appreciate everything that's been done. Okay, the next thing on the agenda is to acknowledge the directors with expiring term. We're very lucky that we only have one director, whose term expired, and we have her continuing to work with us as our VMS director. So I'd like to let Juanita know that we really appreciated all the work. She was our secretary for most of the year. She is a real worker. She attends every meeting. She is really on top of things. Unfortunately, since I'm not in the same room with you, I can't hand you the gift that we have, but it will be delivered to your home on Tuesday, I've been assured. So we really want to thank you. And does anyone on the board want to say some words for Juanita? Okay, Carl, please.
Yeah, I had the privilege of working with Juanita as first vice president for a year, and she was always helpful with me, and I appreciated everything that she did for the board at that particular point in time. And I just want to thank her for all of the time and that she put in for this board, and she definitely is a hard worker on this board. So thank you, Juanita, and I appreciate everything that you did. Thank you very much.
Cash, I forgot my microphone.
Thank you, President. Juanita has been one of the most people for the welfare of our community. She has a village in mind, even when she goes to sleep and when she wakes up. She is a very hardworking woman, and I'm so glad she's on our team and working for us. And I wish her all the best on VMS just as well. And I really appreciate her friendship. Thank you, Juanita.
Okay, Elsie?
Juanita, I want to thank you for teaching me everything I know about being a board member, everything I know about how this village that you love so much operates. And I just really hope you come back to the board someday, because United needs you. I don't know anybody that loves this village and this mutual as much as you do, echoing what Cash said. And all I got to say about you is you've forgotten more about HOA administration than anybody in this room will ever learn. Thank you so much for your contribution.
Thank you all. It's been a privilege.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Juanita. The election.
You're muted again, Sue.
Oh, you're right. I keep hitting the button. Grant, can you put up the election results so that we can show those to the public?
Yes, I'll do that.
Jeff, did you want to talk?
Oh, I just wanted to express my appreciation for the opportunity to work with Juanita as well. I was given the pleasure to work with her while she was serving as president. And to Cash's point, I can attest firsthand that she, for her terms, ate, slept, and breathed, united the community, and took it very personal to heart what she was doing to serve everybody. And it was a pleasure to work with her, and I wish her the best with VMS. And it's always a pleasure to work with each of you. Each of you have a lot of passion and commitment, and Juanita certainly demonstrated that while I was working with her, and it was a real pleasure to have that experience. So thank you, Juanita.
Okay, Grant. So we had Catherine Burkhart of Union Elect, who gave us the election services, and these are the results of the election. The numbers are there. Cash got, you can read them yourselves. We had a total of 9,735 of 2,800 and people who sent in ballots. And since you voted for 4, you can see that the number is greater than. And 2,866 ballots were cast. We had 19 that had to be redone, and I don't remember how many. We had a number of them that did not sign the envelope or put them in the that they just dropped off the pink envelope and not the white envelope. And we'll try to get the directions better next year. We keep trying to get them so that people understand what they have to do. Okay, now we're on to number 11, the introduction, and invite the new directors to the dais. Fortunately, we have continuing directors, and so we only have one person, Azar. Azar, would you like to give a few words, and then we will move on?
Okay. Sure. Thank you so much. Yes, it is an honor that I got the trust of the my community, Laguna Woods people residents. I will do my best to bring their voice to the board and solve many problems that I heard during this hard campaign that we had. Thank you so much that put your trust on me, and I hope we can work together as a unity and work for the benefit of all residents. Thank you so much.
We have 3 directors that are continuing again, so we have a lot of continuity. We have Manuel Armadenes, Reza Bastiani, and Cash Eckhart. And we will all now, with the oath of office by Jeff Beaumont, our lawyer on hand. Right. So, Jeff, you want to take the lead here?
Absolutely, and thank you very much, Sue, and thank you, board, and thank you, members of United, for this opportunity to participate in the 45th annual meeting of United. And I welcome the opportunity to work with you, Azar. Congratulations and welcome to the board. And I especially look forward to continuing to work with Cash, Manuel, and Reza. It's good to have you continuing, and to Sue's point, continuity is very, very valuable to any organization. So with that, I would like to do what I do each year and continue the tradition of acknowledging the oath of office. And I start by asking everybody, what is the oath of office? And it's a rhetorical question because I want to go through and read what it stands for, what United has established each year and has agreed to uphold. And then at the end, I'll ask each of you by saying, I do. Do you agree to this oath of office? So with that, we'll proceed with answering the question. The oath of office is an official promise by a person who has been elected to office to fulfill the duties of the office according to the organization's governing documents and the law. This means by taking the oath, each of you, by raising your right hand and saying, I do, agree to the following. So if each of you could raise your right hand, and I'll go through the oath, and at the end, I'll ask you if you agree to this oath. Each director will act in the best interest of United and its members as a whole. They act with care as a reasonable person would under similar circumstances, which means, among other things, that each director will regularly attend meetings, will review board packets well in advance of the meetings, will engage in deliberations, and make informed decisions. Decisions that are based on information and not based on emotions or reactive thinking or personal opinions. To uphold and enforce the law and United's governing documents, which include the Articles of Incorporation, the bylaws, the Occupancy Agreement, rules and regulations, and the Director Code of Conduct. To support the will of the board, the majority, even if you are a dissenting director, means that you still have a voice and can express your position and opinion, but the will of the majority of the board will prevail, and each director will support the decisions of the board majority. Lastly, by agreeing to this oath, each director agrees to uphold this oath while in office, and in doing so with respect, courtesy, professionalism, and dignity. So with that, now I ask each of you by saying I do do you agree to this oath of office?
I do.
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 All right. I think we have a unanimous I do. And thank you very much for the opportunity. And I look forward to 2021 with you.
Thank you, Jeff. We look forward to having you on board again this year. Okay. Do we have any, Becky, do we have any member comments, please?
Good morning, President Margolis and esteemed members of the board. Yes, we do have some member comments. We have 4 of them, and one of them did not provide their manor number, so I'm not going to read it. First one is, okay.
You can read it.
Okay, the first one is from John Beckett. Says, 50 years ago, it seemed like everyone living in South Orange County was a white Anglo-Saxon, but times have changed. I was pleased to learn that the members of my mutual recently voted to elect or re-elect 1 Mexican-American director, 1 Indian-American director, and 2 Iranian-American directors. I'm glad to live in Laguna Woods Village, and I'm proud to be a member of United Mutual. Second one is from Marisuela Nuno from 394A as an apple. To whom it may concern, I am in the process of having hip surgery. I only have 1 bathroom with a bathtub. I also have polio, and sometimes my legs do not respond, and I'm in pain. Due to this situation, I decided to have a walking bathtub. Since October 1st, the contractors of American Masters have been trying to contact Alteration Department via email. They responded with another email saying that Manor Alterations will be getting back to American Masters in about 7 days. Until this day, no one has responded. I will have my surgery on November 9th, and I will have to deal with my old bathtub, so I'm very concerned. Please, I want to know what are the procedures to solve my situation. I guess that is not contagious if someone had the attention to call the phone and talk to me. I hope someone can get back to me and tell me what to do, please. And they provide their information. Next member comment from Trong Hao from 44A. I would like to request for the board to put up a sign in the parking area near my manor to prohibit vehicles from running idle. My manor is very close to some parking spaces, and often vehicles, especially pickup trucks or vans, will be running idle for a long time. The fume comes into the house and is not very pleasant to sit in the living room and smell the fumes. I hope the board will consider this request and act upon it as soon as possible. Last member comment, Norma Godfrey, 939A as an apple. I have 3 questions. Question 1, what is the board doing to maintain association fees at non-escalating assessments each year? Question 2, what is being done to improve the deteriorated landscape and shrub maintenance? Trimming are too infrequent between actual to maintain a cultured appearance. And 3, why is there a transfer fee at all for owners when selling manors? And that is all. Thank you very much.
Jeff, do you want to answer any of these? Jeff Parker.
My microphone on there.
Yes.
With regards to the one request with regards to the bathroom, I will be working check with Robbie over Manor Alterations and see what the status of this and see if we can get a hold of this individual. Obviously, we responded and we're game. Probably that email probably went out before our system went down, so I'll check on the status of that one. With regards to landscaping, I think Manuel addressed that pretty well in his presentation. We continue to make some upgrades with regards to landscaping. I know that there are desires sometimes that are greater than our frequency that we can handle under the budget constraints that we have and then our operation constraints, but I might want to turn that over to Manny. He's best equipped to address landscaping in United.
The transfer fee?
The transfer fee is with regards to a sale, any sale within the United or Third. There is the transfer fee of $5,000. I assume what you may have been asking was whether or not there's the transfer fee if you move from a unit in United to another unit in United, or United over to Third, or Third over United. And the answer is yes. There is a that $5,000 fee is on any transaction in the village.
Okay. Manuel, do you want to say anything about landscaping?
Well, have Becky send me the information on that particular member, and I will look into it and check with Kurt on what needs to be done. So have him email me that information.
What I'd like to say is that most people want $150 worth of landscaping a month done, and we are only up to $70 worth of landscaping that we're applying. And if you don't want your association fees to go up by $80, we are going to do the best job we can on the $70 that we have. And so if you're going to complain about the association fees, we have to look at what we can do for the money that we get. Okay.
You muted yourself again, Sue.
We're going to adjourn for 10 minutes. We'll come back at about 11:15, and we'll go on with the second part of this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
we're going to need an approval of the meeting minutes of October 8th, 2019, the 44th organizational. Does anybody remember back then? Reza? And is there a second?
I'll second.
Manuel, thank you. Okay, so we're now on to the most important part of this meeting. I'm going to open the nominations to elect the Board of Officers. So I'm opening the floor to nominate for the president.
I nominate Mani for the president.
Okay. Manu, would you be willing to take the job?
Yes, I would. I'll accept that nomination.
Okay. Carl?
I nominate Sue Margolis as president.
Do we need second? We need seconds on these, I guess. Is there a second for Manuel? Cash?
Not for Manuel.
Is there a second for Manuel?
I'll second Manuel.
Okay. Carl, do we have a second for Sue Margolis?
I second Sue Margolis.
Okay, are there any more nominations? Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to do secret ballots. Each of you will write to the presenter your vote so that no one else can see how you're voting.
Where do we write?
In the chat box.
Who's the presenter?
The presenter.
Who's the presenter?
The presenter is Cheryl. Do we want to? Presenter is Cheryl, or is it Cheryl? Are you?
So maybe we should just contact with the organizer. Am I right?
I'm trying to find out. Grant, is it the organizer or the presenter?
It is
that we should contact.
Yeah, the organizer.
The organizer. Okay, so you should write in the chat box to the organizer only.
So the VMS conference.
No, organizer.
I don't see an organizer here.
It's the first one. It's the first one.
But the second one.
No, the first one in the everyone is organizers only.
Yeah.
The second one is presenter.
Under everyone is organizer.
VC. One that says VC, right? Because I don't see anything saying organizer.
No, organizer. Just roll it up. Put the scroll up. The first one is organizers only.
Oh, organizer only.
And put a check mark on that one.
Thank you, Azar.
So who are we voting for first?
We're voting for the president. There are two candidates, Manuel and Sue, and you choose which one you vote for. You write the name in to the organizer.
Rita, the person you nominated, the position, that's what we are voting for. Do you remember what position you're nominated for?
Yes.
Okay, that's the one.
Okay. Do we have all the votes in? Do we have all the votes in? Grant, can you give us an update?
We currently have 9 votes.
And Madam Chair, I had stepped away for a minute. What are we doing?
For voting, there are two people to vote for, either Manuel or Sue. You put in a message to the organizer in the chat box with the name of the person that you're voting for.
Okay, thank you.
There is one more person that has to vote besides Anthony.
Looks like Brian is missing.
Brian, yeah, Brian is not here.
Oh, here comes Brian. Okay. Brian, we are voting for president. There are two candidates, Manuel and Sue. You need to go to the chat box and send a message to the organizer with the name of the person you want for president.
Did he hear you, Sue?
I don't know. Brian?
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm on.
Okay.
I'm finding the chat box. The organizer chat box?
Yeah, the organizer in the chat box, yes.
Okay, we have the vote. So the vote goes to Sue Margolis by a vote of 7-4.
Thank you. Okay, so we will open the position floor for nominations for the first vice president. Is there anyone, Elsie, you want to nominate someone?
I nominate Carl Randazzo.
Manuel? Okay.
Yes,
I
I'd
second.
like to nominate.
Wait a minute. I second first.
Yeah, you second Carl, so we got Carl done. Thank you. Manuel?
I'd like to nominate Anthony Liberatore.
Okay, Anthony. Are there any other, Anthony, I didn't ask, Carl, would you be willing to take the position?
Yes, I would. I'll take the position of first vice president. Thank you.
Okay, is there a second on Anthony? Reza, thank you. Anthony, would you be willing to take the position?
Yes, I would, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay, so let's go into the chat box again and write down the name of the person that you're voting for.
Okay, we have the tally here. So the new first vice president would be Anthony Liberatore by a vote of 6-5.
Okay, we have I'm opening the nominations for the second vice president.
Sue?
Yes?
I nominate Carl for the second vice president.
Okay, wait a second. I've got Cash is first. He's nominating Carl.
Carl Randazzo for the second vice president.
Okay. Is there a second for that? For Carl as the second vice president?
I'll second.
Okay. And Manuel?
Yes, I'd like to nominate Reza Bastani, please.
Okay. Is there a second for that?
I'll second that.
Okay, we've got two people for the second vice president. Azar? Yes. Please unmute yourself.
Andre as a second.
Okay, you want to nominate Andre?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a second for that? I'll second that. So we've got 3 people, Carl, Reza, and Andre.
Okay, we have a tie for second VP. Andre and Reza both received 4 votes. So we need to do a runoff between those 2. Okay, the vote goes to Reza Bastani by a vote of 6, 4, 1. There was 1 abstention.
Sue, you are mute.
I'm opening the nominations for board secretary. Reza? You're not mute.
I nominate Neda.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any other?
I was locked off, so I had to come back again. I missed what happened.
Oh, you didn't get to vote for,
No.
Oh.
No, I did not.
Okay, would you send your vote in and we'll see if it's,
Vote for the second vice president?
Vote was 641. Vote was 641, it doesn't matter.
Wait a second. I understand, Manuel. I had to turn back the page and look. Second vice president is Reza with 6 votes, Andre with 4, and your vote would make no difference, Cash. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought you were back already because I saw your thing. So we're now opening for board for secretary. The nominations is Neda. We need a second on it.
I did a second.
Okay, Manuel, are there any other nominations?
I nominate Carl Randazzo.
Carl, do you want Carol, Netta, I didn't ask you. Are you willing to take the job?
Okay.
Carl?
No.
Okay. Any other nominations? Azar?
Andre, would you take it?
No, thank you very much.
Okay, by acclamation, then Netta has the job. We will go on to treasurer. I'm opening the nominations for treasurer.
I nominate Brian Gilmore.
Okay.
I would like to nominate Manny.
Wait a second. We got to get a second, Brian, on you. Is there a second for Brian?
I second that.
Brian, are you willing to take the job?
I'll decline, but I'd like to nominate Manny.
Okay. Is there a second on that?
I'll second it.
Okay, there's 3 seconds. Okay. Reza, do you want to nominate someone else?
You're not through with me yet.
No, we're a second. We're all second.
You haven't asked me.
I
got a second.
After the second, I ask you.
No,
I know. I do not accept the nomination. You didn't ask me if I accept the nomination. I said no.
Cash?
I nominate Carl Randazzo as treasurer.
Carl, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Anthony. Carl, are you willing to take the job?
No.
Okay. All right. We're back to 0. Manuel, everybody, Reza?
No, go ahead. What you were saying. So.
Manuel, we really want you to be the treasurer. I really think that you need to be you are doing all the work as the treasurer.
Well, may I nominate myself? If nobody wants to do it, I want to do it.
Okay, you can nominate yourself. There's no problem there. Is there a second?
I second it.
I second it. I third it.
Okay, you third it. All right. If there's no one else, he's Cash.
I nominate Azar for treasurer.
Okay. Is there a second on that?
I'll second it.
Okay, so it's Andre and Azar that we're voting for. Manuel, you have something you want to say? Okay.
You have to ask Azar if she'll take it.
Yeah, Azar, are you willing to take the treasurer?
I will.
Okay.
So are we voting?
Yep, we're voting.
Andre, you are sending your vote to me. You should send it to the
organizer.
Okay.
Oh, hold on. Sorry.
while we're waiting for the count to come in, since I have been elected president, I will be trying to fill out the committees. Reza would like to have a committee to decide who to put forth a nomination committee for chairmen of the committees, and then that'll be put forth to me. I'd like two people for each committee chair, Reza, and would you figure out who's going to be on your committee to put together this list for me? Manuel.
Yes, I have many.
Let me add this comment before you do that. I think I have the floor. Am I on the floor? Do I have the floor?
Yeah. Manuel has the floor, please.
Thank you. According to the bylaw, Section 8, Article 8, Section 2, it says that the president selects the chairperson.
Right.
Okay, that's what the bylaw says.
He's going to propose a list to me, and then I am going to select the chairmen.
Oh, okay. You were talking about a committee. Okay, so he would propose a list to you, and then you'll do the selections.
I'll do the selection.
No,
just so we do it according to the bylaw.
May I ask, are you going to select?
Andre, I still have the floor, Andre. Okay, as long as we conform with the bylaws, that's all I care about.
I have already written to Reza that the bylaw says I have the final word on who are the committee chairs, and I will be selecting it. He wants to put together a list for me.
Okay. Let me say it this way so everybody understands. Let me say it this way. Okay, the bylaws say that you select them, okay? However, the approval is by the directors. Okay, so if the directors for some reason dissented, and there's a majority of them, they didn't agree, then it would go back. But you select the chairpersons, then it's up to the directors to approve those selections. That's the way the bylaws read, and that's the interpretation. I want to make sure everybody understands that, because a lot of people don't. Thank you.
Okay. Andre, you're next.
Okay, yeah, everybody understands that we've been doing that all along. It's a resolution, so resolution goes to the board for approval. Everybody, we've been doing that for I don't know how many years. I'm glad you remind everybody that again. Okay, I just want to know that there's a different difference between nomination and recommendation. Nomination, you have to follow the list. Recommendation, you don't have to follow the list, recommended the list. So I just want to make sure it's a recommendation list. There is no such thing as a nomination.
Recommendation list. I'm allowing him to make a recommendation list.
Okay,
I am not necessarily going to follow it. I hope that it is the best list that was possible to put forward. But he is asked to do that, and I have no problem for him to put his recommendation list. I need at least 2 names per each chair position. And I need to know, and then I also would like, besides the list that he puts together, I would like each of you to write me an email as to what your first and second choices are for committees, because then we will work on putting people on the committees. The chairperson will be the one that decides who is on the committee. I will just select the chairman of each committee. Okay, is that clear to everybody? All right, do we have a count of the vote now?
Yes, we do have the vote. So treasurer goes to Azar by a vote of 7-2. There were 2 abstains.
Okay. All right. I entertain a motion to close the nominations now.
So move. I so move, Sue.
Okay, and Reza seconded. We have announcement of the executive offices, ex officio officers, and corporate secretary. So that the executive officers and ex officio are Jeff Parker, Siobhan Foster, Betty Parker, and Cheryl and Grant. So
Can I make a correction?
entertain a motion. Yes.
Okay, the ex officio officers is Jeff Parker would be vice president ex officio. Siobhan Foster would be assistant secretary ex officio, and Betty Parker would be assistant treasurer ex officio.
And is Grant or you the secretary?
We're not named because we don't have signing power.
Okay, because last year we did name you.
Yeah, but it had to be revised because the ex officio officers are people who can sign on
Okay.
behalf of the board.
Alrighty, that's fine. I'm just checking with you because I'm following the, okay. All right. I entertain a motion to approve the resolution for election of officers.
I so move.
Is there a second? Cash, thank you. The meeting is adjourned. Cash, go ahead.
Thank you.
Because I had missed one candidate for second vice president. Can you repeat the order? Who was elected?
Yes, I certainly can. I'm sorry. I was aware of your problem. There were 3 people nominated for second vice president, Carl, Reza, and Andre. The vote went 6 to Reza, 4 to Andre, and your vote was uncounted. If you want to send your vote to Cheryl, you can.
That's fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.